Hi, AJ.
Hey there.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Hi, Dan. Dan, do you know AJ?
Of course. How you doing, Dan?
Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm not good with the Zoom stuff. It said I was still logged into my last meeting.
Ah,
So I don't know how this all works.
Hmm. Well, I don't think I was at your last meeting.
I hope I hadn't recorded it all that time since the last one. Could have been a school committee meeting. I have no idea.
No, the person who hosts the meeting is in charge of the video, so it'll stop.
Good. I was in charge of the video. So if you have a blank screen, that's a lot of minutes. It's mine.
Well, you were here very quickly tonight. Hi, Bob. Hi,
Hi,
Ellen.
Becky.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
hey there.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, how is everybody?
Everybody's fine, I think. How about you all?
Excellent.
Good.
Can't complain.
Nobody can,
That's right.
although we try hard. So AJ, did you go away? Because I had understood you couldn't have a meeting Monday because you were going to be coming home on Tuesday.
Yeah, I was in New York.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this visiting family or?
Yeah. Actually, a little bit of both, but but I brought the kids with me, and my wife was with me, so it was we got to spend time with my sister and
Oh, nice.
who got vaccinated last month, and yeah, so it was nice. I got to
That's
check in on
good.
my parents too, so it was good.
That's important. That's the important one. Let's face it.
Yeah,
Really. So where do they live? They don't live do they live in the city?
they live on Long Island, so suburbs. Yeah,
We're in Long Island.
Oyster Bay.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Don't know where it is, but I've heard of it.
It's
I had
about 45 minutes outside of the city.
On a good day.
On a good day, yes. That's an important caveat. Yeah.
Could probably be 2 or 3 hours.
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah.
That's why I can never figure out why people would want to do that. If you want the truth.
I know. Yeah.
Oh. Well, now, are there trains that run?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a very dumb question.
There's the Long Island Railroad. So yeah, there are a lot of people that commute via train to Long
Oh, I'm
Island.
sure. Oh, that's the only way to do it. I mean, you can't drive it. You'd go nuts.
Yeah.
Unless you absolutely have to have a car.
I don't know why people would do that. Yeah, it seems crazy to me. But
I don't know why anybody would work in New York City anyway, or any city anyway, but
Yeah.
because you're just asking for trouble trying to get out of it and into it.
Yeah.
Oh, matter of fact,
Do you
this
take the
morning.
ferry over? Do you take the ferry over from Bridgeport, AJ?
You know, I have not done that. But it's I think that goes to Port Jefferson if I'm not
Yeah, it does,
mistaken. Yeah.
There's another one that goes from New London, which is a cool one too.
Right. Yeah. No, I haven't done that. I once did like a Montauk to New London, I think, ferry. I was sort of on my way to the Cape, but yeah, no, I haven't done that, the Port Jeff one.
Yeah, I tried I had a friend who lives in North Babylon, and we took the ferry from New London out to Orient Point there,
Yeah.
And that was kind of a nice ride. It was a nice driving down the island,
Yeah, I bet.
But there again, that's a seasonal thing, I imagine, just like the Cape, the stuff around the Cape is. I mean, there are times when you can't do it in the winter.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
You wouldn't want to do it in the winter.
Yeah.
I don't know about the New London ferry. Does run year round too, probably, I think.
I don't even know. Yeah.
You go all the way down to the bridge, and that takes you into some trouble.
Into trouble? Oh, that's encouraging.
Traffic.
Michael's going to be here in just a second.
Okay, no
Okay,
problem.
great.
I tried to call Steve, but I didn't get through to anybody.
Well, we do know he's not plowing snow.
Where are you?
Sorry, I
Like
couldn't
10-hour shift
resist.
now, right?
That's a
Mm.
fact.
Aren't they on a 10-hour shift now, do you think, or what?
What?
Are they on a 10-hour shift?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
On
If you-
daylight savings is the
Yeah,
change
so that
up.
means you might just getting out of work now or something, so.
No, they're usually out by
I think
now,
it's
definitely.
6 to 4.
Oh, yeah.
So he's probably walking his dog.
Hi, Michael.
Good exercise, although he exercises all day doing what he does.
Yeah. Hi, Michael.
Hi,
Hi,
Michael. Good to see you.
better
Though
late
we
than
have-
never.
That's okay. Okay, we do have a quorum. So I call the meeting to order. The first thing is to review the agenda. Do you all have a copy of it? If you don't worry about it. The agenda consists of, on 5:35, we're supposed to start a discussion about the SES heating system controls, update on conference room and library large windows, and then review the minutes. So that's the three things we have on the agenda. Before we start anything, why don't we review the minutes first and get that
Oh.
taken care of so I don't have to worry about it?
Have you folks gotten the minutes? I sent them to Becky. I know
Oh,
at some point,
I
but
didn't know you just sent them to me.
yeah, I did. And I meant to send them to everybody. I have a feeling I didn't. Do you have them handy or
Let me pull it up right now.
take probably quicker than me doing it? Unless it's not, in which case I can do it.
Yep, I'm forwarding now.
Yeah, which is a
One
problem. I don't know if I can get into forwarding and not screw up my Zoom.
AJ.
Email should be able to do it, I guess.
I don't know.
So we may lose you, huh?
Yeah, you may lose me.
Should be all
Well,
separate.
Becky can
tabs.
share, can put it up, probably put it up on the screen, so.
Yeah.
That's so hard to read.
Michael,
Did
okay.
you send it out, Becky?
Yeah, wait, I just gotta get. Sorry, I was.
Yeah, I apologize
Let
too.
me-
That's okay, Mike.
Let
Michael,
me-
we
You know,
all
if
have
you guys
that
want to hire
problem.
a different secretary, go right
No,
ahead.
no. Shush, 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 shush.
I'm gonna try to put it up on the screen while you guys.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's right. You're your host, so you don't have a problem with sharing screens and all that kind of stuff.
okay, Chrome regarding minutes. Is this the right thing? We'll see if,
Yeah, I should shorten that title.
yep,
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Not much there.
No, that's okay.
Bob likes it when I make him short. He told me that.
That is true. I think that covers it.
Yes, that does. Wait a minute. I don't see where we approved the minutes of the previous meeting before that. And I know we did because I remember telling you that we
Yeah,
be sure to send it.
I did send it, but I will note that I can revise this and
Yeah,
get
please.
it off that way.
Yeah, please do.
So
That
is there
way
any motion
that'll-
to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we've accepted the minutes as amended. Very good. And would you
Yeah.
please, Michael, once again, make sure it goes to the town
Yep.
clerk?
Yep.
So she can, we're being very good at, we've never been good in the past about doing that, so this is wonderful. I like having people who are willing to, when I say to do it, I know it's gonna get done. That makes me feel
Me
good.
too.
What, Bob?
I like people that'll do what I say too.
Well, that's not doing what I say. It's a suggestion because I know we're gonna get in trouble otherwise. So that's why I always ask for it. Okay. Let's take a look at the conference room and large library windows. Becky, you had indicated, well, why don't you speak on the issue?
I I have no new quotes on the large windows. We still only have the window itself with no installation costs. Bob, were you able to come up with any installation costs on the
Yeah,
Marvin?
let me just, I was still kind of nonplussed, if you will, about this. So I did talk to Matt and I did talk to Steve about this issue, and I think I may have talked to Dan about it as well. Last year, we approved enough money to cover the 2 Marvin units that would have replaced the existing rotten unit. And at that time, Matt and Andy had agreed to install it because they said they had the time. That was all before COVID, of course. So my understanding is this year, they said they don't want to do it. They don't have the time, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But there was some confusion about we were going to take money from flooring and some other things. Then Bruce Turner is apparently speccing a different unit that is a sort of a storefront commercial unit. And from my standpoint, we already approved the materials and specifications for this job. What we need is an installer to replace the labor of and so we should, personally, I think we should just go ahead and hire somebody, either the school should or the town should, to do this job. And we should cover it from the school budget or from the building committee budget and just get it done and not mess with it in this year's capital planning proposals, because we already have done this work. We just have to move forward on it. We got tripped up by the COVID, and I think it's become kind of complicated now and unnecessarily so. So that's my opinion. We should just go forward. I don't know how the school feels about that, or the school committee, or the
Sure,
capital planning committee, but that's my view.
I can talk to that. At our last school committee meeting, we did bring up that item. And I truthfully, I think having the janitors replace the windows probably was a bad plan to begin with. Their job really is custodial services. I don't think it really falls into their job description. I don't know about liability or anything like that. So, I apologize if we sort of thought that was a good plan, because in retrospect, I think it's a bad plan. So I think what you're proposing sounds good. If we have already done some research, collaborated, worked together, and came up with a plan of what the windows should be. And again, I think it may be good to circle back around and have the buildings committee talk with Bruce and sort of get all our ducks in a row. But I think we should move forward, do it, and definitely hire people who that is their purview. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And do you think the school would be able to fund the installation? Dan?
Well, I'm going to say yes. However, again, I think, so my feeling is that in terms of a process, again, we need to get back to the process. So what should happen is, because I don't know how much it's going to cost. So I can say, yes, the school committee is going to fund it, but I don't even know how much it's going to cost. So this is where I think we've got to come up with a process and how people get together. If Bruce is pricing it out to do it one way, like, I don't understand why he's doing it that way if we've already approved it a different way. I just feel like it's disjointed. We need to come together, communicate with each other, talk about things, look at the options, make a recommendation, and then the decision is made, and then we just move forward. So I'm all for getting those windows replaced. We're one town, we work together, we figure it out. Let's figure out the best way to do it in order to create efficiency in pricing and effectiveness. We want windows that are going to be long-standing, that fit in with the characteristics of the openness out there in the courtyard. And again, I'm not a builder, so I don't know what the best options are. But I think between the buildings committee, working with people, they can come up with that.
But they still have to come through us.
And
Because it still is a capital plan.
But that would
Right.
be once we actually had a plan, which we do not have now. Is that
Right.
correct?
we
Right.
did approve certain $7,200, I believe, last year for the purchase of these units.
Right.
And I did check at the beginning of this season when Steve said we needed more money. And I found that the units still are, the price still works.
But
So
that's for the unit, not for
that's
the
for the unit, but
installation.
we have to do an install.
Yeah.
So I called the guy that I thought might want to be interested, but you know, it was kind of hard. Everybody's busy these days. So it's a difficult. I mean, people
Yeah.
that usually are hungry for this kind of job, but we can find somebody. We can
Yeah.
find somebody to do it this summer and get it done. And then those windows, the Marvin windows in the school are the same product as these sliding glass doors. So it's consistent aesthetically with the windows that are in the school. And I'm very pleased with Marvin as a company to do business with, and they have a good warranty and so forth. So I think that the school will be happy with it. It's not, maybe there's an issue with the front door and the side door of the school with security because those are to the outside. I don't think the same issue would be as important in the courtyard since it's kind of an interior space. That's the only thing I can think of why we would shift it. But these are the same security as the windows. So, you know, I mean, it's a really good, nice unit. So I think
May I ask a question? The $7,200 was for what manufacturer?
6-foot sliding glass doors made by Marvin Manufacturing.
It was Marvin.
Yes,
So what
They
is the
are-
proposal before this committee?
that was the one we approved last year.
Yeah, I just
What is
don't
the
have,
current proposal, or is there one?
There was a
No.
request for $5,000 because, and I'm not sure what the request was supposed to be for. $5,000 certainly is probably in excess of what we need to get an installation and trim done, but I never understood that. So I think it had to do with the specs coming from Bruce Turner, and the window that he was talking about is a more expensive unit and maybe more like the existing unit, a 12-footer. I don't know.
I think that the request predated Bruce's idea for going with aluminum.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware of that, so I don't know where that request came from, but there was something about the floor money, and I don't think that we ever contemplated using the floor money for this job, so, because the floor money has to be recycled into the next phase of floor.
it should be.
Not
Yeah.
be shifted over there, as far as I understand it.
So Bob, with your proposal, if the installation costs are going to be handled by either the school or the town, there is no further request for capital plan.
I just think that would make it simpler at this stage for us to handle it that way, because it's not going to be a huge amount of money. And we could, you know, we could handle it one way or the other out of our existing accounts, you know?
Yeah.
So the only request that I have would be if the buildings committee could circle back around and talk to, I mean, Steve isn't here tonight, but Steve is our representative for the school, to talk with Bruce Turner, just so that we're all clear on everything. I think, like I said, things have gotten a little disjointed. We need to just come together, communicate, make sure we understand that, you know, again, to your point, Bob, like, I don't know why there would be any difference in security there than there would be
Oh, there
anywhere
shouldn't
else. I mean, it
shouldn't
seems to
be.
me the courtyard, but again, that's not a question that I can answer, but if we all work together, I think the idea that we have a proposal that's been approved for those windows. Now we just got to figure out how to get them installed, but let's circle back around and just confirm that, all right, here's the plan. Are we all good with this?
Yep, that sounds like a good idea.
Good.
Well, I'm trying to write minutes here, and I'm
Okay, go
thinking
ahead.
that there's no vote going to be taken here. There's
Not,
no,
well, there's no, at the moment, where there's discussion going on. Yes, I think we have to take a vote basically to get out of this.
Mhm.
Because this has been an issue on our agenda. And
Right.
somehow we have to turn it over to somebody, as far as I'm concerned, just to get it off our plate.
so
So
then what
nobody
is
can
the
come back to
proposal?
us and say, well, you didn't do X, Y, Z.
Well, what is the proposal then?
Bob?
I guess what Dan is suggesting is I think is a good idea is that the building committee will circle back to Bruce Turner, and between the two of us will just establish whether what we're thinking tonight is the right way to go. And then we'll
Right,
go
so-
forward and get someone to give us some pricing on installation. And
So
if it's
Michael-
considered to be reasonable by everyone, including the building committee, the town administrator, the school
Yeah,
committee.
that's all clear, but I still don't see that as something that that this
I don't
committee
think-
is being asked to do.
I think that the request for $5,000, we should just table. That's,
Well, you shouldn't table it. You should just say no. You should
Withdraw.
deny it.
okay,
yeah.
we'll just deny it. I
Well,
make a- I
that's
make
why we need a
motion that
vote.
Deny the request for 5,000.
Yeah,
Until we
need a-
know how much it costs.
Well, no, because it was already said that the installation would come either out of the school budget or out of building committee. That's what you
Okay.
said, Bob.
I think that would work. I would support that.
Okay, so then let's have a motion to deny the $5,000. And then it goes back to wherever, since we already have the 72, that we already theoretically have the money for the doors or the
Not
windows
theoretical.
or whatever they are.
We have the money.
Well, theoretically, because we don't know if the prices have changed.
Well, as of the beginning of our season, when I checked back.
Yeah,
With our.
they were the same.
Yeah.
Coles, it was okay.
What I'm
Well, you
hearing
never
now
know.
is that nobody
You
will
never
hold
know.
prices more than 2 weeks, but
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right
especially
about
now.
that.
Yeah,
Well, if you
but
want. we can-
anyway, if we assume that it is the same, then yes, we should just vote the $5,000 down, and then it goes back to your committee, Bob, with the help of Bruce and Becky and the school saying, yes, they'll pay for it, or somehow we get it. But anyway, so right now, we
I
need,
guess I'm comfortable with that. I think we could table it, but then you would.
No,
just-
but table it means you have to table it to a date certain. We don't want to get into this
Okay.
again, talk about it again, because it comes down to the fact it's not our purview now.
Okay, take it.
Michael, do you have all this?
well, the proposal is to deny the $5,000.
Right, right,
For the
right.
installation.
And then refer it back to the building committee.
Right.
That's the best way of putting it. Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, then all those in favor of, please say aye.
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 Thank you much. So
Thank
it
you.
is a vote. Yeah, thank you. That was very nice, gentlemen. I appreciate that. And I find it very confusing anyway, because you approve something and then, like, be interested to find out who we finally find out to install the things. That's going to be even more interesting. So the next piece is the heating system controls.
You want to start, Becky?
You start, I'll
Okay,
add-
now just a short brief history of this. We had an issue that the school was having a lot of difficulty this heating season with the heating system. And Jamrock then produced a proposal to modernize and update the controls for the heating system to replace the existing Johnson controls with a new computer and to replace the existing pneumatic controls with digital controls. That proposal came out. And then following that, Nexus company was asked to bid on the same issue, but not with the same set of specifications, but the same issue. And they came in and examined the system, and they produced another proposal, which in some respects, at least in general terms, is the same proposal that Jamrock came up with. I've studied both proposals. I'm not able to actually differentiate them accurately because of the language being used and the non-specificity in Jamrock's proposal. However, both of them did plan on replacing the pneumatic system, putting in a modern central laptop computer loaded with software that would be communicable with off-site with both the people that work for the school and also the company that does the maintenance. Both of them would have upgraded a lot of the controls at the radiation wall units and other heating elements and the hot water system. And both of them would have replaced the controls, the damper controls, the ventilation system. That I know from studying these things. Then another proposal came in from Jamrock to donate to the school a different set of implements, including just part of what he had proposed. This proposal to donate free to the town a computer loaded with software and a bunch of inputs and outputs, or in other words, controls of the pumps and the heating elements and This does not contemplate the same extent of work that his original proposal included, but it would be, according to his note, consistent with that work, that upgrade. So it's a third proposal. And so studying the three proposals, I did call Jason and spoke to him at length today. And I asked him, could you just please give us specifically what's included in the proposal and what isn't? Because we want to go forward with this repair, but we need to go through a transparent, orderly process. We like you. We want you to be bidding on the job. If you want to donate things to the school as part of your proposal by reducing your quote, that is certainly would be much appreciated by the town. And we would thank you for that. And it would certainly make your quote more competitive. So I'm hoping that we can take a reset on this, Ellen, and continue to establish parameters and facts about what work can be done. There's so beyond all that issue, which is complex and I think not really settled yet, at least not in my mind, there's another issue which Becky is familiar with, which is the American Rescue Act, which is going to provide lots of money to communities in the state, including Shutesbury. And one of the things that will, as far as I understand it, and it's not necessary, Becky may know more about this than I, is that to improve ventilation systems in our schools to engender and protect the health of the students and the staff. If there's money available from Uncle Sam here, we certainly want to get it. We don't want to miss out on that. So one thing I did talk to Jamrog about today, Becky, was if we were to get a modern, up-to-date air exchange system for the school, that would have to be studied. He said that in his opinion, we don't need to engineer the upgrade to the controls, but we would need to engineer a upgrade to a whole building ventilation system. And we'd have to decide and figure out where that thing went, because it would be too heavy probably to be supported by the roof. It would probably have to go on a pad, probably outside the blower room. And we'd have to just design that and figure out how that would all be integrated into the HVA system and into the architecture and layout of the school and all of the other necessary things that have to be respected, in terms of the sidewalks, for example, things like that. So that requires study too, and we need to really maybe try to focus on this so that we can get some answers to at least the cost of this, and maybe Becky, some resource that you have with the State House can get us an application or something, so we can understand how we apply for this money, because that would probably cost a couple $100,000. And if Uncle Sam's paying for it, it would really improve the school. It would be a permanent improvement to the school, and certainly be worth doing, especially if someone else is paying for it. So I hope.
But Bob, we suspect that those funds could also be used if we were to just do the upgrading of
that
the
I
system
don't know,
controls,
but
right?
that certainly has to be investigated, because part of the upgrade that's been proposed both by Nexus and Jamrock is part of it is the evacuation system, the fans and the blower system that evacuates air and brings in fresh air to the school. The existing system is not a state-of-the-art, efficient, digital,
Very old.
whole building air exchange, but it is a ventilation system. And that would certainly, to my way of thinking, that would qualify as an upgrade for air quality in the building that would be connected to the COVID hygiene issue. So yeah, we have to figure that one out too. And I think that we have to get on that. I don't know. I asked Jamrog, I said, what are this? He has a lot of schools that are his customers, right? He said, nobody's been doing it yet. So he doesn't know. He just did Athol, but he didn't, I don't know if he did it with it'd be interesting to call Athol and see if they got money from the state, because he just put in a whole building air exchange system up in Athol for their school, I guess their high school.
Okay, thank you, Bob. That was most complete. Becky, do we know anything at all about this federal money? Go ahead, hon.
Yep. I had a better formatted American Rescue seminar today. We should be getting funds about May 10th we're going to get 50% of the money now and 50% in about 12 months. Guidelines are expected to be released about the same time as we get the money. Right now, they have outlined categories of funding for towns. Under infrastructure, it is limited to water, sewer, and broadband. I specifically asked the question whether HVAC or ventilation systems were going to be allowable under the municipal pot of money. It has not been listed or defined at this point, and I was advised not to assume that it will be funded until we see the guidance on May 10th. Hopefully, but I'm talking about the money that's coming directly to the town, the $500,000.
Wow.
I believe there's another 300 and some thousand going directly to the school. And there's additional ESSER money to the school, and
What's ESSER, please?
I can't tell you. It's a piece of money.
That's okay.
Emergency something. But so there's these pots of money. So until May 10th, we won't have definition about whether the HVAC or ventilation systems will be handled. He did say in the CARES Act in the beginning, when they first came out with guidance, the ventilation and HVAC stuff that was later approved and funded and allowed and made eligible was made eligible later in the process. They're hoping that there's more clarity on that when we get the guidance. So, and I think, Bob, you said that when you spoke to Elena Cohen, she indicated that it should be.
Right, that was her opinion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, but she also thought that she anticipated it would be.
Yeah,
No.
it's not written into the statute. There's a lot of areas that are still vague.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Yes, Dan, do you know something about this too, as a school committee person?
No, but this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to propose that we do this. Number one, we hire an expert. I think the word we've used in the past has been engineer, but someone who has an expertise in heating systems. They evaluate the heating system to determine what do we need to fix the problems that exist. Additionally, that person can propose maybe what we could do to upgrade the system. So 2 separate proposals. Then we go through a process, the bidding process, where we have the spec sheet that is outlined so that when people bid, they can bid based on apples to apples. We can then compare the bids and decide who we want to go for. While that's all happening, we can then look at what monies are available or how would this be paid for.
Yeah, the funding is of no concern to us. We do not get involved in funding. We may say, well, it costs up to X, but that's all we do. Finance committee is in charge of funding. We have nothing to do with it. I do appreciate your work on that, and I hope it would be wonderful if the federal government rained this money down on us for that, but we don't know.
And if I can I'd just like to make one more comment also, because I think Bob made a point about a donation. I did just receive an email about a donation from Jamrog. I did respond to the committee about that, you know, I was a little taken aback because I don't know what this donation is. We have not accepted it as a school committee. Becky?
Okay, and so I followed up on my concerns about the donation coming from a contractor. They kind of touch on, they make you sensitized to
Ethics.
in procurement,
Ethics,
the
yes.
ethical part of that. So that was a little bit of a flag. So what would happen if Jamrog if the school were to accept the donation, it would be under the terms that Jamrog could not bid on the project.
right. So doesn't it make sense to you? This is how I would look at it as a builder. I don't know what the rest of you and Michael thinks about this. But if Jamrog wants to give us a super deal on a price when he's in the bidding, then that will be good for us and good for him. And if he gave us a low bid, I mean, a very low bid, that was very competitive.
Well,
Okay.
the bidding, right, the bidding is up to each.
Wait a minute,
individual-
wait a minute. Too many people talking, please. Becky, what were you going to say? You lean, and then Dan.
I just wanted to clarify what Bob was saying. So Bob was, and I thought I heard this in what you were describing your conversation with Jason. You were kind of telling Jason, no, forget the donation, just give us a low bid.
No, if he wants to not charge us for a computer, say, or in the software that he wants to donate, then when he bids on the project and this computer and the software are part of the specifications, he doesn't have to charge us for that part when he enters his bid. He just says the bottom line of the bid, when he figures the price on the project, will be lower because he's discounting it.
Okay,
That's the way to make a donation, is to give us a very competitive price.
okay, but he cannot bid on the project and make a donation.
But I'm not saying it's a donation, it's just a low price.
He can't do that.
Why
He,
not?
he should not make the
Why
donation.
not? Why can't he?
Whoa, whoa,
Why
whoa,
can't,
whoa.
why can't he decide that he doesn't want to make any money on this?
I think there's two
And
separate
that's just
things.
an accounting thing.
Whoa, 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 wait a minute. Okay, Michael, just a minute. Dan.
I'm just thinking, I just
Yeah.
have to say something and think this through a little bit, but I just can't see why, if I'm bidding and I say, I really want to do this job because I like it.
Whatever.
So
Yeah.
I'm not going to charge for my time. That doesn't keep me from bidding. Or, I really want to do this job. I've got this framadingle behind me that I bought and can't use anymore, and I'm going to give you that and not charge you for it. Why would that preclude that I bid on the job? That seems crazy to me. If there's something in the law that says that that's the way it is, then it wouldn't be the first time the law was crazy. But
Wait a minute.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, Dan was going to say something. And Becky, I think you had something else to say. Excuse me. Bob had to make sure the cats got fed.
Great. So again, there's two things going on here. The biggest thing, the one word I'm going to use is process. So as I just outlined what we need to do, the
very
bidding
good.
process is up to each person and how they do their bidding. And Michael, you're right. If one bid is lower than another because they want to be very competitive because they want the job, that's all up to them. We're going to give them the specifications. We're going to look at the bid. We're going to compare apples to apples. We're going to look at things including services, I would imagine, in addition to price. Now, the issue is the donated item. So when I saw that, I was concerned about it. So I believe what should happen is he should not make that donation. To Bob's point, whatever he wants to do in the bidding process, that's his business. That's why I alerted the committee and Becky, I think, to the email. I was concerned about that donation because it raised red flags with me as well. So as much as it's a nice gesture, we need the process to be clean. We need it to be fair and transparent. And I think that's the way to do it. Keep your computer. If he wants to make a donation to the school for something else, if he wants, that's fine. But again, we don't want to have problems here in this process.
Yeah, definitely not. Becky, were you going to say something?
I'll hold.
Okay.
Just one thing, if it's against the law to make a low bid, I'm guilty because I've done it many times inadvertently. But let me just say that I think that that if the bid comes in low, that's the way the process works. We run the specs out there. We said we want to replace the central computer, laptop, the software, and list all the stops. There's controls that are listed in the bids that we have. List them all out for every radiator, number,
Just a
12
minute, AJ.
radiator controls, digital controls, sending units, sensors, all the other bits that are listed. I don't even think we need an engineer to do this. We know exactly what has to be replaced. List the cleanup, all the rest of the things that go along with the job, remove the compressor, and so forth and so on. And then we cannot, Becky and I know this, we can't stipulate the brand name of the controls or any of these things. We have to specify what's being replaced and what the general specifics are, the specs of the replacement parts. Then we get bids and they lay out what brand they use and we evaluate the bids. As far as the total building hair exchange, that's a separate bid. It would be integrated with the controls. So whatever controls we get should be able to handle that as part of their comprehensive integrated control system, but that is a separate unit that's not part of what we're replacing now. What we're replacing now essentially is the controls for the HVA
We're
system
doing
in the
everything.
school.
Bob, I thought we were doing everything, but AJ has something.
Yeah,
He
so
raised his hand and
yeah, so I just had a quick comment about this discount issue. So I mean, just from listening to you all, it seems like the the way to resolve this is pretty straightforward, which is there's just no mention of a donation in his bid. He can
Yeah, right.
include whatever kind of discount he wants, but we just have to avoid that language. And obviously, he's not going to take the computer out of the bid because that's an essential part of what needs to be replaced, right? We're upgrading to a kind of a modern control system, which is going to require a computer. So I mean, he just has to avoid describing it as a donation. It seems to me. The question I had, Bob, was when he followed up with this second bid, did it essentially consist of like a subset of the items that were in the original bid, or was it like, actually, I'm going to give you guys this great deal, but we're going to do something different than what I had outlined in the first bid?
It's what it is, AJ, is it's part of his original bid. His original bid was more comprehensive upgrade of the control system, which replaced let's just say one big part of the control system at the school is this pneumatic system that is air pressure driven, that goes out to the various locations in the different zones of the system. That has to be replaced now. That's an antiquated system. His so-called donation did not contemplate that part of it. His original bid did contemplate replacing that whole pneumatic system with an electronic digital system. So it just added more complexity to the whole thing.
Bob, it sounds like then that it's not just the computer, because you were just talking about this digital, this pneumatic system. I don't know what that is, but so it's not just a computer.
Well,
What that we should replace.
To donate was a part of his original.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But you had said at one point that all we should do is the computer, and it sounds like now you're saying we need something this pneumatic system.
You misunderstood me. I said what we need to do is replace the control system for the HVA system in the school. That includes a lot of components that control all the electronics and the brains that control all the different components with new digital inputs from outside temperature, water temperature at different locations, boiler locations, all that stuff. A lot of it exists now, but it's a antiquated system that's no longer working. There's some valves and things that need to be replaced that are part of that system that are no longer even available, according to Becky and Tamara. So that would all be replaced too, so that all the controls and the valves that are operated by the controls would be in one integrated system. That's what we need to do. That's pretty clear.
Thank you.
That's what we're going to need to do.
Okay. Dan, now you had said, let's get a professional in there, an engineer or an expert on HVAC in there to really look at the whole thing. And I'm interested in taking that. I think personally that is the way to go. Get somebody in there who really understands commercial HVAC and let them go to town looking at it, because, it's how many years old? Lots. And, and we know things are dying on it. And we can't go much longer with it potentially dying in the middle of winter. Let's face it. We have to have something on the floor for town meeting to be able to say, this is what we need up to this amount of money in order to do this system, to replace the system. And that's what we're here for, to create this motion, which will then go through the finance committee and the select board to be put on the floor of town meeting. And we've got to do this quickly is the problem. And because we don't have much time.
And Ellen, it may be, so I'm saying an expert. Now, the buildings committee, working with the people that they've already been working with, and Becky may be familiar with things as well, whether they already have a firm idea, that is acceptable to me as well. I just know myself, I don't know anything about heating systems, so we need somebody who's very familiar with it, so.
We need somebody and not just housing systems. We need somebody that's into the commercial end of the thing.
Mhm.
Because to me, it's a whole different bag if you're doing this huge building or if you're doing no matter how big a house it is. Becky, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I have been talking, searching for an engineer. And in one of my conversations, the engineer was reviewing the two bids, and the Schneider system, he said, is not an open source system. Schneider is probably coming in at a lower cost initially, but then they've got you, and any service calls and upgrades have to be handled through them, is what I was told. So it would be helpful to have some expertise working with the building committee or whoever that could help us identify things like that. You know, whether it's open source, where the costs are going to come, if it's cheap in the beginning and uploaded at the end. I mean, the building committee hasn't replaced this system before, ever. So and I spoke with, again, I went back to Jeff Quackenbush, and he got one of his friends from UMass, who was an engineer, to review the quotes. Neither of them were comfortable with the quotes that were presented to us. They both are advising that we get a third party that is an expert in the field to write a scope of work that we can put out. And if the building committee can write that scope of work in detail, and that would be great. But we need a scope of work so that the bids we get are clear in what they're giving us. And we don't have that right now.
Yeah. Can I say something now, please?
Go ahead.
I welcome Michael's view on this too, but as a contractor and builder, you know, I've got two jobs going now, and both of them I've hired engineers because I needed professional engineering for both legal and, you know, for regulatory reasons, basically. One case for public health and one for structural need a stamp so that I can get solar panels on a roof. But in this case, we might very well want to bring in a consulting engineer. We should do that quickly if we have to. Let's do an evaluation first, because as far as I can see, both of these bids are actually addressing the same exact issue. We do know the number of units in town, the number of controls that we need. We could ask questions of both of these contractors. They've been both willing to cooperate with us and to answer our questions. And then, you know, as far as that goes, I think we might want to hire an engineer, we might not. We should do this quickly, as you say, Ellen. But I think we're going to have to wait for some information coming down the road from the state, May 10th anyway. So let's do this quickly. Let's turn this around and see if we need to hire an engineer, see if we can draw up a bill of particulars. Tim Hemingway is an expert in heating systems. You know, it really isn't rocket science. I did talk to Jason quite a bit today about this. It's not that difficult to understand. It's not that different from a residential system. It's just a bigger system with more components, but it's the same basic principles involved.
Okay, Bob.
As far as the Schneider issue goes, just one last thing. You know, I did tell the building committee, and Becky was there, and maybe you remember this, Becky. I did point out that the Schneider, that was one element of this consideration. The Schneider does have a proprietary kind of requirement on the people that install their goods. The people from Nexus told me that they're apples to apples in terms of quality and reliability, but that the issue that he had with Schneider was you had to go through one of their licensed repair companies. So it kind of locked you into a contract with somebody that had an affiliation with the company, which was definitely a check in the negative side, you know, so that's true. But that's one of the ways we evaluate a bid, because when the bidder comes in, if he's going to specify what he's going to put in for parts, and that would be a consideration, no doubt. So,
okay, thank you, Becky. You were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think we're sitting around waiting for May 10th to find out if there's funding.
Definitely not. No, because once again, that's not our job.
Okay.
We don't get involved in funding.
So the issue is to move ahead, Just to find an engineer with the right capabilities is not instantaneous. I think we need to move ahead and get some quotes, some estimates from engineers. So when you get to the point of having a scope of work to be reviewed, that you can decide, we can decide, I'll decide whether going to an expert to have your specs reviewed makes sense. And
That makes sense to me, Becky.
so I think if we just try to keep all the options going at the same time and everybody keeps working, and then we can meet again on it
Yes.
in a few weeks.
Okay,
That's
so
good to me.
that's good. Okay, so Bob, your building committee will work on specs.
We'll work on specs and we'll work with Becky and
Good.
try to and coordinate and stay in the loop together. And
Okay,
we'll get
great.
something.
Thank you. And okay, then, gentlemen, I need a motion to table a discussion. What date? We need a date. You're supposed to table to a date certain.
May 10th. No, I'm only kidding.
Please don't.
I don't know.
What?
First,
Bob,
What-
how long do you think it'll take you to get something together?
I had some breakthrough today. Jamrod called me back.
That's an improvement.
But, and I've been getting communications from him and Nicole just the last week. So I'm now anticipating everybody's acting cooperatively. And I talked to the principals at Nexus as well. And so I think we should be able to do something in terms of our specifications and evaluate them, in a couple of weeks. So what do we have now for a meeting time? Do you want to meet on the 19th or something like that?
19th of May?
Yeah.
What day of the week is that? Just a minute.
Not too late or what?
Could we move it up a little bit just because
Yeah, let's move it up. Got to.
The 17th?
Becky, what
Yeah.
does the third Monday of May look like?
That's the
you.
17th. That's
Yeah.
okay.
That's okay, gentlemen? How is it for you?
Okay for me.
Yeah, it's okay. I have something at 8 o'clock, but if we were
Okay,
doing a
well, we'll
similar
get done
time.
by then. I
Yeah.
promise you. Okay,
It's tax
So-
day.
So what
So-
time? 6 o'clock?
I
How
don't know
about
what's
5:30?
convenient.
That's good.
Yeah,
5:30
5:30 is fine
great.
for me.
Okay, great.
Is it okay for
Okay.
all of you gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay, then 5:30 on the 17th of May. Okay,
Excellent.
then, so can we have a motion to table this discussion until a meeting on May 17th?
I'll make that motion. So moved.
I
I'll
need a
second.
second.
Second,
Thank you. Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to say on behalf of the school, we appreciate all your help and support, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay,
Thanks
then
for
although,
being here, Dan.
pardon?
I said, thanks for being here, Dan.
Yes, Dan,
Thank
we
you, Dan.
appreciate it. Okay, all those in favor of tabling this until the 17th of May?
I,
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes care of that. So now I don't think we have anything else unless there is anything else. Let's see, what does it say? That cannot reasonably be anticipated by the chair because I have nothing that I could reasonably anticipate. So therefore, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll move to close the meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
very good. Thank you. The meeting is now
night.
closed.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good
Yeah,
night.
sure.
Hey,
Michael, I'm worried about you, the way you're coughing. Are you okay?
It's the pollen.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I just was really worried.
yeah, my antihistamines tend to wear off about this time of day.
Yeah, yeah. What are you allergic to, or don't you know? Is it like everything?
At this point, it's pretty much everything. Trees are my
Ooh.
worst one. And
I'm sure, and it doesn't help any that it's so dense, shall I say?
right, no, yeah,
That's what they're saying. Well, you
you
just
know.
take care of yourself.
I sneeze.
Yeah. No, you just take
But
care of
it's
yourself.
not a cold or anything like that.
No, I didn't think it was, but it can be all kinds of other nasty things too.
Yeah, no, it's just
Oh,
all this time of year.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that's all it is.
Yeah.
You just take care.
Thank you for your concern. Bye.
Oh,
everybody.
sure. Yeah, bye-bye.
Good night.
Well, wait a
Bye
minute,
now.
Becky. Stay around.
Okay.
So I was surprised.